Good morning. Thanks for joining us for our midday newscast. I'm Marcus Washington.
And I'm Laura Garcia. We are following breaking news moments away from President Biden and Chinese president coming together for that high stakes meeting. Once it gets underway, we'll bring it to you live right here on NBC Bay Area. New video to show you as well into our newsroom of President Biden's motorcade leaving San Francisco within the past hour. The meeting expected to last 4 hours with many key global topics between the U.S. and China on that agenda.
Protesters already lining up outside of the security barricades and roadblocks set up in Woodside. This is near Edgewater Road and 280, not too far from the Filoli Estate and Gardens. This is where that meeting is happening. Our Cull is joining us live from out that area. And Ian, talk to us about what you're seeing. I see a lot of folks behind you.
Yeah, guys, there's a lot of protesters out here, hundreds, possibly thousands, not just in this area, but I'm standing under 280. They're on the overpass. They're down the road. And we know that moments ago, President Biden just arrived here, and we expect and hear just in that President Xi's motorcade as well is arriving in Woodside. You can see police wearing their riot gear from a number of different Bay Area agencies. And I'll tell you that most of the protesters right here, I talked to a few of them, they say that they are mostly anti-Chinese policies, the anti-Chinese Communist Party as well. We saw a few pro-Chinese policy folks coming in here, and they, to be honest, they booed them away. However, we have seen busloads, and I'm not just talking about a couple. We have seen dozens of busloads of people being dropped off in this area as well as right on 280 so that they can come and hopefully have their voice heard as these two world leaders are set to meet here. As you can see, once again, security, there's dozens more officers joining them now. You can imagine this must be the most secure place on the planet with these two heads of state coming together. We'll be covering this much more and tweeting out some images here, and President Xi expected to arrive at any moment. Guys?
Yeah, I'm sure they just want one of the presidents to see what they have to say. All right, Ian, thank you for that report.
Yeah, I can't miss that crowd out there. Well, there are hopes that today's talks could actually lead China to announce a new crackdown on the exporting of fentanyl.
And maybe new connections between the U.S. and China. Our Scott McGrew is taking a closer look at those topics being discussed as this meeting kicks off.
Good morning. The military issue is the easiest. The U.S. hoping President Xi will agree to resume the communications between our military and theirs. The Chinese cut off direct contact after then Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan. Video here of the U.S. Defense Department showing a Chinese plane buzzing an American plane in international airspace. Military officials on both sides worry there's a huge potential for misunderstanding, for escalation, and that's made worse if commanders can't talk to each other. Oftentimes when two world leaders meet, there's some kind of memorandum after the meeting, a joint statement that says, here's what we talked about, and we look forward to the warm relations in the future. But the White House has told reporters, don't expect it this time around. There will be independent written statements after. This is video of the last time they met in person in Bali at the G20 summit. Our political expert Larry Gersten setting a low bar.
The fact that they're even meeting is something of a miracle, because that's exactly how icy the tension has been over the last several months. It's been awful. I can't remember a time when these two powerhouses were so far apart on so many issues and unwilling to discuss them.
Another major issue, as you mentioned, fentanyl. The White House wants China to crack down on shipments of the drug to Mexico.
Well, as that key meeting gets underway in Woodside, activists are making their voices heard outside of the APEC summit in San Francisco.
We now turn to NBC Bay Area's Bob Redell, who is live in San Francisco. Bob, protesters are hoping to send a clear message to those attending this global conference, including both President Biden and President Xi.
You are correct. Good morning to Laura and Marcus. There are hundreds of protesters that are staged at various locations and entrances to the security zone, which is surrounding the Moscone Center, which is a couple of blocks from where we're at. This is, of course, the location of the APEC summit for the CEOs and world leaders. This is the entrance to 5th and Mission, where protesters have been since around 7:30 this morning. They are on break right now, but the goal, according to one of the spokespeople to the No to APEC Protest Coalition, which is coordinating these protests, is to disrupt and shut down this summit. They have certainly made it harder for attendees to get in, but they have not shut it down. This is the scene at another entrance at Jesse and New Montgomery, where protesters, they've sat on the ground, they've linked their arms, they've blocked a gate for vehicles. This is a gate that is manned by Secret Service. They are trying to take a stand against what they call fossil fuel imperialism. Back here at Fifth and Mission, we've heard messages against President Biden, against communism, the war, imperialism, Israel, and corporate greed, among other issues. Protesters have also been singling out attendees who've been trying to enter the secured zone. They stood out in their suits and dress clothes. It was obvious who they were. In some cases, they were surrounded, and the protesters yelled things like shame, shame, shame. Here is one attendee who was wearing a pin for the Bridgestone Tire Company.
Another day in San Francisco. I went to college here. It hasn't changed much.
You're approaching a couple of delegates. You have a lot of passion. You're yelling at them. Why?
You know, for these people to sit here and not condemn Israel's terror on Palestine over the last, since 1948, what is that, 75, 80 years? You want to say, oh, condemn Hamas for what they've done to Israelis, but not mention that Israeli has been committing terror on Palestinians tenfold since 1948? Like, what do you stand for?
Not only did these protesters make it difficult for individuals to get in, and they were able to get in, but this was the scene earlier here at Fifth and Mission, was the motorcade that was turned around. It was led by law enforcement. We assumed that they found another way to get in. The protests this morning, they have definitely been loud, but mostly peaceful, and we have not witnessed any arrests as of yet. Reporting live here in San Francisco, Bob Redell, NBC Bay Area News.
A lot going on there. Bob, thank you.
So that is the scene outside. Now, inside the Moscone Center, it is still business as usual. The CEO, one of the summits of major parts of APEC, is actually kicking off at this hour.
Yeah, that's where we find NBC Bay Area's Ginger Conejero Saab. And Ginger, today, no doubt, I'm sure, different from those other days with heightened security and more dignitaries.
That is right, Marcus and Laura. I know we just heard Bob reporting that protesters have made it difficult for some people to come inside, but when you are inside, it is business as usual. The meetings and the sessions have not been derailed because of those protests. What is very different is the perimeter around Moscone Center. The streets have been closed down since last night when things got on lockdown, and that heightened security that we have not experienced as much in the days prior to today is definitely in high gear now. This is, of course, in preparation for world leaders who are here to attend APEC, including President Biden, including China's President Xi. They are not here as of now because, as we have been reporting, they are at that sideline bilateral meeting that is set to happen at any moment now on the peninsula. What's happening here at the same time, sessions and meetings at APEC, as well as one of the first discussions at the CEO summit. This morning, former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice is at the center of that conversation, along with the president of the Council on Foreign Relations. They're talking about global geopolitical situations and the regional impacts of those dynamics. Now, Dr. Rice is now the director of the Hoover Institute at Stanford, and she says technology and its impact must also be part of the conversation.
It comes particularly to technology, decoupling taking place between the two largest technological giants, China and the United States, and so that's breaking down. Then we had the issue of the security commons. People forget that the United States, after World War II, took some really pretty amazing pledges. An attack upon one is an attack upon all.
Now, the rest of today's CEO summit will feature other high-profile business leaders and dignitaries, including the Prime Minister of Malaysia, the President of the Philippines, the President of Vietnam, and Governor Gavin Newsom. Now, the purpose of the CEO summit is to get the private sector and governments on the same page to collaborate and be in line with certain trends from different industries. However, this particular summit is met with many protests, like as Bob was reporting, that we've been seeing here around SOMA in San Francisco. In 2018, protests were actually successful in derailing the CEO summit when APEC was hosted in Chile. We have not seen that yet. Here, it's been business as usual so far. Marcus, Laura.